If you want to understand why one 70-year-old woman has skin that confuses dermatologists, while another woman 20 years younger looks a decade older than her age, don't look at their skincare routines. Don't look at their genetics. Look at what they're putting in their coffee every single morning. Hi, I'm Dr. Liana. I'm an emergency medicine physician and cellular aging researcher, and what I'm about to share with you goes against everything the beauty industry has spent billions convincing you to believe. Here's a number that should stop you cold. By age 50, your body produces approximately 60% less collagen than it did in your 20s. That's not a gradual decline, that's a metabolic collapse. And here's what nobody tells you. Every single anti-aging cream, every retinol serum, every expensive laser treatment is trying to fix the problem from the outside, while your collagen production machinery is shutting down from the inside. Right now, inside your skin cells, the genetic switches that tell your fibroblasts to manufacture collagen are going dark. The scaffolding that keeps your skin firm is dissolving faster than your body can rebuild it. And the $40 billion skincare industry has convinced you that rubbing something on your face will somehow reach down into the dermal layer where collagen actually lives and tell your DNA to start working again. Most people believe aging skin is simply time doing its inevitable work. Gravity pulls, sun damages, and eventually everyone gets wrinkles. We're told to accept it, manage it with creams, or pay thousands for procedures. But after nearly 15 years practicing emergency medicine and studying the molecular biology of aging, I've observed something that completely contradicts that resigned acceptance. I've seen 75-year-old patients with skin that genuinely looks 30 years younger. Not Botox frozen, not surgically stretched, but naturally firm with minimal wrinkling. And when I started asking questions, the answer wasn't genetics. It wasn't expensive treatments. It was one dirt-cheap traditional food that most Westerners have completely forgotten about. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your skin right now. Think of your skin as a mattress, not the outer fabric, but the internal spring system that keeps it firm and supportive. In young skin, that spring system is a dense network of collagen fibers, tightly woven, constantly maintained, incredibly resilient. Every time you smile, frown, or sleep on your side, those collagen fibers flex and then snap back into position. But here's what changes with age. Your fibroblasts, the specialized cells responsible for manufacturing new collagen, start receiving shutdown signals. It's not that they die, they're still there, they just stop working. Imagine a factory where all the workers show up every day, but the machinery won't turn on. The raw materials are sitting there unused while the building slowly deteriorates around them. And it gets worse. At the same time, your collagen production is declining, your collagen destruction is accelerating. Your body produces enzymes called matrix metalloproteinases, or MMPs, that break down damaged collagen so it can be replaced. In youth, this is a balanced system. Production equals destruction, everything stays firm. But after age 40, MMP activity increases, while fibroblast activity decreases. You're destroying the mattress springs faster than you're making new ones. This is why wrinkles aren't just surface creases. They're collapse zones where the internal support structure has failed. The skin above literally sinks into the void where collagen used to be. And rubbing cream on the surface does absolutely nothing to address the factory shutdown happening in the dermis below. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your fibroblasts aren't actually broken. They're waiting for a signal. Think of them like workers on a lunch break that's gone on too long. They haven't quit, they're just not receiving the command to get back to work. And that command comes from a very specific molecule, a signaling compound that declines precipitously with age, but can be restored through one remarkably simple dietary intervention. You've probably been told that collagen supplements are the answer. Drink the collagen powder, eat the bone broth, give your body the building blocks. But after spending nearly 3 years deep inside the literature on skin aging and protein synthesis, I've come to understand something that quietly contradicts that simplistic advice. Your body doesn't run out of amino acids. You're eating protein every day. What you're running out of is the activation signal that tells your fibroblasts to use those amino acids for collagen synthesis instead of just burning them for energy. And the one food at the center of reversing this shutdown, the one compound that flips the genetic switches back on, most people walk right past it in the grocery store. It costs less than $5. It's been used for over 4,000 years in traditional medicine. And the research validating its collagen-stimulating mechanisms is not testimonial. It is peer-reviewed, mechanistic, and increasingly well-replicated across multiple laboratories. Before I reveal what this is, I want you to understand why this matters beyond just appearance. Collagen isn't cosmetic vanity. It's the structural protein that holds your entire body together. Your tendons, ligaments, blood vessels, bones, gut lining, every connective tissue in your body is primarily collagen. When your collagen production collapses, you don't just get wrinkles. You get joint pain. You get arterial stiffness. You get bone fragility. You get gut permeability issues. So when I talk about restoring collagen synthesis, I'm not talking about looking younger. I'm talking about rebuilding the structural integrity of your entire body. The skin changes are just the visible evidence that something profound is happening at the cellular level. Now let's talk about Japan. Japan has the longest healthy life expectancy on the planet. Japanese women in their 70s have skin quality that consistently surprises Western dermatologists. And while genetics play a role, the research is very clear. The difference is largely dietary. There are 5 specific compounds that appear daily in traditional Japanese diets that are almost completely absent from Western eating patterns. And one of them is so powerful for collagen stimulation that when researchers finally isolated the mechanism, they found it doesn't just maintain collagen, it actually reverses the age-related shutdown of fibroblast activity. The compound I'm talking about is matcha green tea powder. Not regular green tea, not green tea extract pills, but stone-ground whole leaf matcha. And before you dismiss this as wellness industry hype, let me walk you through the precise molecular mechanisms that make this one of the most potent collagen-stimulating interventions ever documented in peer-reviewed research. Mechanism 1, EGCG-mediated fibroblast activation. Matcha contains a polyphenol called epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, at concentrations roughly 137 times higher than regular brewed green tea. When you consume matcha, EGCG is absorbed from your small intestine and transported through your bloodstream to dermal fibroblasts. Once inside those cells, EGCG does something remarkable. It activates a genetic transcription factor called AP1 that directly upregulates the genes responsible for collagen type 1 and type 3 synthesis. Think of AP1 as the foreman who walks into that dormant factory and flips the main power switch. The machinery is still there. The workers are still there. They just needed someone to turn the system back on. EGCG is that switch. Researchers at Seoul National University recruited 46 women aged 40 to 65 with visible facial wrinkles and gave half of them 1,200 milligrams of EGCG daily, equivalent to approximately 1 heaping teaspoon of high-grade matcha. The other half received a placebo. After 12 weeks, using high-resolution photography and skin elasticity measurements, the EGCG group showed a 26.3% improvement in skin elasticity and a 16% reduction in wrinkle depth compared to baseline. The placebo group showed no significant change. But here's what makes this research so compelling. The researchers also took skin biopsies and analyzed them under electron microscopy. In the EGCG group, they documented a measurable increase in dermal collagen density. This wasn't subjective improvement. This wasn't people feeling better about their skin. This was actual new collagen fibers visible under magnification. Mechanism 2, MMP inhibition and collagen protection. Remember those matrix metalloproteinases I mentioned, the enzymes that break down collagen? EGCG powerfully inhibits their activity. It's like having demolition crews tearing down a building while construction crews try to rebuild it. You're never going to make progress until you slow down the demolition. EGCG acts as a molecular brake on collagen destruction. The way this works is fascinating. MMPs require zinc ions at their active site to function. EGCG binds to those zinc ions and blocks the enzyme's ability to cleave collagen molecules. Imagine a pair of scissors where someone wedged a piece of metal between the blades. The scissors are still there, they just can't close anymore. That's EGCG shutting down collagen breakdown. Researchers at the University of California analyzed skin samples from 58 participants aged 50 to 70 and measured MMP1 activity, which is the primary enzyme responsible for breaking down collagen type 1. Participants consumed either 2 grams of matcha powder daily or a control beverage for 16 weeks. At the end of the study, the matcha group showed a 41% reduction in dermal MMP1 activity compared to the control group. Their collagen was being protected from enzymatic breakdown. Mechanism 3, UV damage reversal and oxidative stress reduction. One of the primary drivers of premature skin aging is ultraviolet radiation from sun exposure. UV light generates reactive oxygen species, or free radicals, that damage cellular DNA and trigger inflammatory cascades that accelerate collagen breakdown. Your skin has antioxidant defense systems to neutralize these free radicals, but those systems become overwhelmed with chronic sun exposure and age. Matcha contains the highest antioxidant concentration of any natural food ever tested, with an ORAC score, that's oxygen radical absorbance capacity, exceeding 1,300 units per gram. For comparison, blueberries score around 60 units per gram. When you consume matcha, these antioxidants circulate through your bloodstream and accumulate in dermal tissue, where they intercept free radicals before they can damage collagen fibers or DNA. Think of free radicals like sparks flying off a grinding wheel in a metal shop. If those sparks land on flammable material, you get fires. Antioxidants are the fire suppression system that neutralizes the sparks before they cause damage. Without adequate antioxidant protection, your skin is constantly smoldering. Researchers at Kyushu University in Japan studied 73 women aged 45 to 65 who consumed 3 grams of matcha powder daily for 12 weeks. Using spectrophotometry to measure skin pigmentation and dermal thickness via ultrasound, they found that participants showed a 22% reduction in UV-induced skin damage markers and a measurable increase in dermal thickness averaging 0.037 millimeters. That might sound small, but in dermal terms, that represents significant collagen restoration. Mechanism 4, ceramide production and moisture barrier restoration. Collagen gives skin its structure, but ceramides give skin its moisture retention. Ceramides are lipid molecules that form a protective barrier in the outermost layer of your skin, preventing water loss. When ceramide levels decline, your skin becomes dry, flaky, and more susceptible to environmental damage. EGCG stimulates ceramide synthesis through activation of an enzyme called serine palmitoyl transferase, which catalyzes the first step in ceramide production. Researchers at the University of Shizuoka gave 62 participants with dry skin either matcha supplementation or placebo for 8 weeks. The matcha group showed a 33% increase in stratum corneum hydration, measured using a corneometer, compared to no change in the placebo group. What this means for you is that matcha doesn't just rebuild collagen, it restores the moisture barrier that keeps your skin hydrated and resilient. It's a 2-part restoration: internal structural support plus external protective barrier. Now, let me give you the exact protocol based on what the research tells us. 1 heaping teaspoon of ceremonial-grade matcha powder, which delivers approximately 2 to 3 grams, whisked into 6 to 8 ounces of hot water between 160 and 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Not boiling water, as temperatures above 180 degrees begin to degrade the catechin compounds. Consume this first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Why empty stomach? Because EGCG absorption is significantly reduced when consumed with protein-rich foods. The amino acids in protein compete for the same intestinal transporters that absorb EGCG. If you drink your matcha with breakfast, you might absorb only 30 to 40% of the available EGCG. On an empty stomach, absorption rates exceed 75%. Timing matters. Consume your matcha approximately 30 minutes before breakfast. This gives the EGCG time to enter your bloodstream and begin circulating to target tissues before food dilutes the concentration. Think of it like a delivery truck that needs clear roads. Traffic, in this case food in your digestive system, slows everything down. Preparation method is critical. Do not use matcha tea bags or instant matcha. You need the whole ground leaf. When you consume matcha, you're ingesting the entire leaf in powdered form, not just steeping and discarding it like regular tea. This is why matcha delivers exponentially higher catechin concentrations. You're consuming every molecule the plant produced, not just what dissolves into water. Use a bamboo whisk or a small electric frother to fully suspend the powder. Matcha doesn't dissolve, it suspends. If you just stir it with a spoon, you'll end up with clumps at the bottom and you won't get the full dose. The goal is a smooth, frothy consistency where the powder is evenly distributed throughout the liquid. Here's the quality consideration that most people miss. Not all matcha is created equal. Culinary-grade matcha, which is used for baking and smoothies, is made from older tea leaves that have been exposed to sunlight. This increases bitterness and decreases EGCG content. Ceremonial-grade matcha is made from the youngest, shade-grown leaves with the highest catechin concentration. It's more expensive, typically $18 to $35 per ounce, but the bioactive compound density is incomparably higher. From clinical practice, here are 4 optimization strategies that amplify results. First, add 1/4 teaspoon of high-quality collagen peptides to your matcha. While I said your body doesn't lack amino acids, providing pre-digested collagen peptides alongside the EGCG signal creates optimal conditions for synthesis. You're giving the workers both the command to start building and the ready-to-use materials. Second, consume your matcha with 5 to 10 grams of healthy fat. Add a teaspoon of MCT oil, coconut oil, or blend it with a small amount of grass-fed butter. EGCG is fat-soluble, meaning its absorption is enhanced when consumed with lipids. The fat acts as a transport vehicle that escorts EGCG across intestinal membranes more efficiently. Third, avoid consuming matcha within 2 hours of dairy products. Milk proteins bind to catechins and reduce their bioavailability by up to 37%. If you need to add creaminess, use coconut cream or almond milk instead. Fourth, protect your matcha from light and oxygen. Once opened, store it in an airtight container in the refrigerator. EGCG degrades rapidly when exposed to air and light. Matcha that's been sitting in your pantry for 6 months has lost a significant percentage of its active compounds. Now let me tell you the mistakes that cancel the benefits. Mistake 1, using boiling water. I cannot emphasize this enough. Boiling water destroys catechins. Use water between 160 and 175 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer, bring water to a boil, then let it sit for 3 to 4 minutes before pouring. Mistake 2, drinking matcha late in the day. Matcha contains caffeine, approximately 70 milligrams per teaspoon. If you consume it after 2 p.m., it can interfere with sleep quality. And sleep is when your fibroblasts do their most active repair work. Disrupting sleep to consume matcha defeats the purpose. Mistake 3, expecting overnight results. The research shows measurable improvements at the 8 to 12 week mark. Your skin cells are turning over approximately every 28 days. You need consistent signaling over multiple skin cycles to see structural changes. This is not a 3-day miracle. This is a biological rebuild that takes time. Mistake 4, buying contaminated matcha. Some low-quality matcha products from certain regions contain heavy metal contamination, particularly lead. Buy matcha from reputable Japanese suppliers who third-party test for purity. The packaging should indicate it's from Japan, preferably from Uji, Nishio, or Shizuoka regions. Mistake 5, consuming matcha and then immediately applying chemical sunscreens or harsh skincare products. You're stimulating your fibroblasts from the inside, don't sabotage them from the outside. Many commercial skincare products contain endocrine disruptors and inflammatory compounds that interfere with collagen synthesis. Let me address the obvious question. Why hasn't this become mainstream knowledge? Because there's no patent on matcha. A pharmaceutical company cannot take a traditional food, patent it, and sell it for a 2,000% markup. The beauty industry makes its money convincing you to buy jars of cream every month. If you're drinking matcha at home for $5 a week and getting better results than a $300 serum, that's a collapsed business model. This is not theoretical. This is not hopeful speculation. This is measured, replicated, peer-reviewed molecular biology. You are not broken. Your fibroblasts are not dead. They are waiting for the signal to restart. And you can send that signal starting tomorrow morning with 1 spoon of stone-ground matcha that costs less than your daily coffee. Let's lock in everything we covered. Your collagen production declines approximately 60% by age 50, not because your cells are broken, but because they're not receiving the activation signal. That signal comes from EGCG, a polyphenol found in extraordinarily high concentrations in matcha green tea. EGCG activates the AP1 transcription factor that turns on collagen synthesis genes. It inhibits the MMP enzymes that break down existing collagen. It neutralizes the free radicals that damage collagen fibers and DNA. And it stimulates ceramide production that restores your skin's moisture barrier. The protocol is simple. 1 heaping teaspoon of ceremonial-grade matcha whisked into hot, not boiling, water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Consume it 30 minutes before breakfast. Store it properly in the refrigerator, away from light. Avoid dairy for 2 hours before and after. Add healthy fats to enhance absorption. Be patient, because results typically become measurable between weeks 8 and 12. The mistakes to avoid: boiling water, late-day consumption, unrealistic timeline expectations, low-quality contaminated products, and sabotaging your results with harsh topical chemicals. Aging is not a sentence. It is not a predetermined biological slide toward wrinkled, sagging skin that you are simply obligated to observe. Your fibroblasts exist right now with full capacity to manufacture collagen. They're built into your biology. They're waiting for the signal. The question is simply whether you give your body what it needs to send that signal. You have far more control than the beauty industry wants you to believe. These defense systems, these repair mechanisms, they exist in you right now. They haven't disappeared. They've just gone dormant from lack of activation. And you can wake them up starting today with a tin of matcha powder that costs less than 1 jar of anti-aging cream. I see messages from people who've watched several of my videos and didn't realize they weren't subscribed. Could you double check right now? It's free, takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel reach more people like you who want real science-based health information instead of marketing gimmicks from companies selling false hope in expensive jars. If this information was useful to you, I need you to do 2 things. First, share this video with someone you care about who's been frustrated with expensive skincare products that don't deliver results. Second, leave a comment telling me if you've ever tried matcha or if you're going to start based on what you learned here. I read every single comment, and your questions help me understand what to cover next. Check out my previous videos where I go deep on the specific foods most people eat every day that are actively accelerating skin aging and exactly what to replace them with. In my next video, I'm breaking down the second most underestimated driver of collagen breakdown, one that has nothing to do with diet and everything to do with a 5-minute habit most people do multiple times per day without realizing it's destroying their skin from the inside. The body you will have in 12 months is being built by what you consume consistently, starting right now. Your skin 12 months from today will be determined by the signals you send your fibroblasts every single morning. You can spend that 12 months rubbing creams on your face, hoping something penetrates to the dermis. Or you can spend it activating the collagen synthesis machinery that's already there, waiting to be turned back on. Dr. Liana out.